Hey guys, Matt with CJ Off-Road here. Now out on the table, I've got Injen's PowerFlow cold air intake kit fitting your 2018 and newer JL Wrangler equipped with a 3.6 liter, as well as your 2020 and newer Jeep Gladiator also equipped with a 3.6 liter engine. Now this intake features a polished intake tube as well as their oiled filter and everything that you need to get it installed. Now this kit doesn't require any modifications to be made onto your Wrangler or Gladiator to get it installed, and it's going to help increase your horsepower and torque ratings even by a small amount, but you'll hear a nice cold intake sound up in the front of your engine and really get a nice aggressive tone coming under your hood. Now we're going to get this installed on our 2020 Jeep Wrangler Willys Edition, see how it looks and also see how it sounds, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so we've got the hood popped here. You can see there's the 3.6 engine. The first thing we need to do is remove the factory intake system. Now what I'm going to do personally is I start up here up with this hose clamp using 8mm, get that removed and then kind of work my way towards the outer edge. So we're just going to go ahead and work our way from the throttle body all the way out towards the exterior where the airbox is. The only thing we need to remove is our temperature sensor for the intake tube, and that's going to get transferred over. You're only going to need a couple tools to do this, so why don't we go ahead and get started. So using an 8mm socket, we're going to go ahead and loosen up the band clamp on the throttle body. You can also use a flathead screwdriver to do that. Just get it nice and loose. It's not going to fully remove because there is an indentation. Then once we have that done, we're going to move right here and remove these clips out of our extra air plenum. Once you get those out of the way, go ahead and disconnect your temperature sensor just by pushing on this clip and pulling it right out, and we can set that aside. Next, we're going to remove the two 10mm bolts that hold on the front here. We can reinstall these. They are not needed for the new intake kit, but I just like to throw them in case you ever do decide to go back to factory. But as you can see, that's nice and loose. Next thing we're going to do is disconnect our PCV hose off of the intake tube. And to do that, just slightly depress on the gray area and push it towards the passenger fender, and that'll just pop off like so. So now the last bolt to remove is this 10mm that holds the airbox onto the fender. You can go ahead and get that removed. Set that aside. And now your entire airbox is free, but what I'm going to do now is remove the temperature sensor from the intake tube while it's on there, just so I have a little bit more support. And then all this does is push into two grommets underneath here, so that'll pop right out and the whole kit can be removed. So to remove your temperature sensor, you're just going to turn it counterclockwise. Now with our temperature sensor out, we can pull this off the throttle body and then just give it a slight pull over here on the passenger fender. Slight fucking pull. And you can remove the whole intake. All right guys, so we've got our intake box here and we've got our bracket mounted up as well. Now this side is the one that goes over to the throttle body and connects to the intake tube. You're gonna place your bracket here using the moon-shaped cutout, and that's gonna just go right along the bottom there. And then that's gonna go down and you're gonna connect these two plastic pieces facing down using a 10mm nut on the back side. Now the way it should sit like this, with these air intake slots towards the front of the vehicle and your Injen logo reading the proper way. Now there is a lot of spots where you can get this messed up, and actually we had to look at it a couple times to make sure we got it on the right spot there. With that being said, we put a little WD-40 on these. We're gonna get them in the grommets and then put the intake tube on. All right guys, now the next step, we'll get our Injen polished intake tube installed. We also have got to slide on this coupler. We're just gonna go ahead and put this onto our throttle body first and make sure that this is properly seated all the way towards the back. And we'll also make sure that both of our hose clamps are facing upwards the same way so we can get easier access on the outside here. So those are both setting on there. Now the next step is to get our intake into the tube, and you'll make sure that's all the way seated around too. And then we can get that into our air filter. Once again, making sure that our band clamp is properly on. That'll sit right into place like so. You can see we've got it properly pushed back. It's all the way into our intake over here. Now the next step is going to be to attach our PCV hose. All we've got to do, slide that over. You might have to push on this a little bit for it to pop over. Hear a small click, you'll know that's installed. And then the last step is to go ahead and get our temperature sensor, twist that into the grommet here. I used a little bit of WD-40 also. And we're just gonna put it with that stud facing the same way that it was before, and go ahead and get that re-plugged in. You'll hear a little click with that. Now with all those installed, we're gonna go ahead and just snug up all of our band clamps, and that install is gonna be complete. We're gonna go ahead and use an 8mm socket to get these hose clamps tightened down. Once again, if you don't have one, which most basic toolkits will, you can just go ahead and use a flathead screwdriver to get them tightened down as well. Once you get those two snugged up, just tighten down the one over here on the air box. You wanna go towards the outer edge of that. After that's done, your installation is complete. You can take a nice little rag and clean off the polished part here. Also, there is a clear sticker on that. Go ahead and peel that off, and you're ready to go. All right, guys, well, we've got the installation wrapped up of this Injen Power Flow intake onto our 2020 Jeep Willys. And I gotta tell you guys, it was probably one of the easiest air intakes I've installed onto a Jeep or a Gladiator. Now, everything is installed here. It's all tightened down. We've got all the sensors reattached, and we're all good to go. Now, if you don't like it being as flashy as this polished here, you can also get it in a textured black to match more of your engine bay. Overall though, guys, this was a very easy installation. You only need a few tools to get it done and about half hour of your time. To completely change the power of your Jeep and Gladiator, be sure to check out this Injen cold air intake as well as many other great products right here at cjphonyparts.com.